Los Angeles never truly sleeps. Its boulevards glitter with neon and headlights, masking the shadows and alleys where the city's forgotten hide. For Jonathan Mercer, billionaire philanthropist and widower, the city has long lost its shine. Tonight, he rides alone in the back of a black town car, eyes fixed on the rain-slick streets. His tailored suit sits stiff on his frame, but grief has hollowed him. 3 years have passed since the accident. 3 years since his daughter, Lily, was taken. 3 years since her laughter filled his home. He has rebuilt empires, raised endowments, launched foundations, but nothing fills the empty chair at his dinner table. The driver clears his throat softly. "We'll be home soon, sir." Jonathan nods, though he hardly hears. His gaze drifts to the window, where streaks of neon blur with raindrops. And then he sees her. On a corner beneath a flickering streetlight, a girl huddles against the cold. She is small, maybe 10, her hoodie threadbare, her sneakers torn. She clutches a plastic bag of belongings and stares at the ground as strangers rush past. Something about her stillness cuts through Jonathan's haze. He leans forward. "Stop the car." The driver hesitates. "Sir." "Stop." The car eases to the curb. Jonathan steps out, rain spattering his shoulders. He approaches slowly. The girl glances up. Jonathan freezes. His breath catches. Her eyes, dark, luminous, shimmering with defiance and sorrow, are Lily's. The same shape, the same glint of unspoken questions. His heart lurches. For a moment, it feels as if the years have folded, as if his daughter has returned in the form of this child. The girl stiffens, clutching her bag tighter. "Don't come close," she says, voice rough with fear. Jonathan softens his tone. "I won't hurt you. You're rich," she spits, as if it's an accusation. "People like you don't see me." Jonathan's chest tightens. "I see you now." She studies him warily, as though measuring the truth of his words. Rain drips from her lashes. "What's your name?" he asks gently. She hesitates, then mutters, "Grace." The name pierces him. Grace, the word Lily used to write in her journal, doodling it with flowers. Jonathan swallows hard. "Grace," he repeats softly, as if the name itself is a prayer. A memory crashes over him. Lily, age 10, at the piano, laughing as she misplays a hymn. "Daddy," it says, "I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you." Isn't that beautiful? Jonathan grips the lamppost to steady himself. That very verse hums in his soul now, unbidden. "I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you." He looks at Grace again, shivering under the neon glow, and something inside him breaks. "Grace," he says softly, "have you eaten?" She shakes her head, suspicious. "Doesn't matter. It matters to me." She narrows her eyes, but hunger flickers across her face. Jonathan extends his hand. "Come with me, just for tonight, to get warm, to eat." Grace stares at his hand, then at his eyes. She seems to see something there that surprises her. Not pity, but grief, raw and familiar. Finally, with trembling fingers, she takes his hand. The driver opens the door of the town car, astonished. Jonathan ushers Grace inside gently. She clutches her bag tightly, eyes darting around the leather interior. Jonathan settles across from her, heart hammering. He cannot look away from her eyes. They are Lily's, unmistakably Lily's. And as the car pulls away, Jonathan whispers to himself, though Grace cannot hear, the verse that will haunt him from this night forward. "I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you." The hook is set. A billionaire grieving his daughter. A homeless orphan named Grace. And eyes that open a wound too deep to ignore. What begins as a chance encounter will unravel into a truth he never expected. The town car glides through the gated entrance of Jonathan Mercer's estate, headlights washing over manicured hedges and the towering facade of his mansion. To Grace, it might as well be another planet. She presses against the leather seat, clutching her plastic bag as if someone might rip it from her hands. Her wide eyes dart from the marble columns to the fountain, where water cascades in glittering arcs. Jonathan watches her silently. Every detail of this night feels surreal. Her presence in his car, the name she carries, the eyes that echo his daughter's. His chest aches with a mixture of dread and awe. The driver clears his throat. "Sir, are you certain?" "Yes," Jonathan cuts in. "Prepare a guest room." The driver hesitates, then nods and pulls the car to a stop. Inside, the mansion's halls stretch wide and cold, filled with paintings and chandeliers that have never known fingerprints or laughter since Lily died. Grace steps gingerly onto the marble floor, shoes squeaking. Her voice is small. "It's too shiny." Jonathan almost smiles. "You'll get used to it." But even as he says it, he realizes he never has. He leads her to the dining room, where a long oak table gleams beneath crystal lights. A servant hurries in, startled at the sight of Grace. Jonathan raises a hand. "Food. Anything warm." Minutes later, steaming bowls are set before them. Chicken soup, bread, roasted vegetables. Grace's eyes widen. She hesitates, as if waiting for permission. Jonathan nods. "Eat." She dives in, spoon clattering, soup dripping down her chin. Jonathan watches, throat tightening. Lily used to eat the same way, impatient, laughing at her own mess. For a moment, he almost calls her Lily. He grips his glass instead. She's not Lily, he reminds himself. She can't be. But her eyes lift to his, shimmering with gratitude, and he nearly breaks. After dinner, Jonathan leads her through the hall. They pass a grand piano draped in dust covers. Grace stops, tilting her head. "Do you play?" she asks. Jonathan stiffens. "Not anymore." "Why?" He swallows. "The one who did is gone." Grace studies the piano, then him. Maybe she's not gone. Maybe she left pieces. The words hit him like a blow. He hurries her onward, unable to respond. The guest room is prepared. Lavender sheets, plush pillows, a fire crackling in the hearth. Grace sets her plastic bag on the bed cautiously, as though afraid to break the illusion. Jonathan stands awkwardly in the doorway. "You'll be safe here tonight." Grace bites her lip. "Why are you helping me?" Jonathan exhales slowly. "Because once, someone helped me when I was small and lost. And because you remind me of someone." Her brow furrows. "Who?" He hesitates, then whispers, "My daughter." Grace studies him with solemn eyes, then nods slowly, as if she understands more than she should. Jonathan lingers a moment longer, then retreats, heart heavy. That night, alone in his study, Jonathan pours himself a drink he doesn't touch. He stares at the fire. Images blur. Lily laughing at the piano, Lily whispering verses from her Bible, Lily's eyes. Now Grace's. He pulls a worn journal from the desk drawer. Lily's. The cover is scuffed, the pages filled with doodles, songs, scriptures. His fingers tremble as he flips to a random page. There, in her looping script, "I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you." His breath shudders. He whispers the words aloud. And for the first time in years, he feels them answered. In the guest room, Grace curls under blankets, eyes heavy. She whispers to herself, "Thank you, God." Then she falls asleep, safe for the first time in months. Jonathan stands in the hallway, listening to her steady breathing. His chest aches, but not with emptiness, with something else. Something frightening and beautiful. And he knows this. Taking her in was no accident. It was the beginning of something he cannot yet name. Morning sunlight spills through the mansion's tall windows, gilding the polished floors. The house staff whisper among themselves, uneasy about the stranger in their midst. But Jonathan ignores them. His focus is on the girl asleep in the lavender guest room. When Grace emerges, hair tangled, eyes bleary, Jonathan feels a strange tug. Lily used to pad through the halls the same way, barefoot, half awake, unafraid. He clears his throat. Breakfast is ready. She sits at the table, stiff at first, then relaxes when she sees the spread. Pancakes, eggs, fruit. She devours them hungrily, syrup smudging her chin. Jonathan watches, caught between ache and wonder. "You'll make yourself sick," he cautions gently. She grins, syrup smeared. "Worth it." And just like that, his heart lurches. Lily used to say the same thing when sneaking cookies. After breakfast, Grace wanders the halls. She pauses at the covered piano again. Her fingers hover over the sheet. "Can I?" Jonathan hesitates, then nods. She pulls the cover away, revealing gleaming keys. She presses one tentatively. A low note hums through the silence. She looks at him. "Teach me." His chest tightens. "I don't play anymore." "Then learn with me," she says simply. The suggestion pierces him. He swallows hard, then sits beside her. Together they press random keys, awkward and clumsy. But laughter bubbles from her, bright, unguarded. For the first time in years, Jonathan laughs too. Feels like sunlight cracking a tomb. As days pass, the mansion shifts. Grace leaves drawings taped to the fridge. Stick figures labeled me and Mr. Mercer, smiling beneath the sun. She hides in curtains and leaps out with giggles. She convinces the cook to teach her baking, flour dusting her nose. Jonathan, once encased in silence, finds himself drawn into her orbit. He reads to her at night, at first awkwardly, then with ease. She peppers him with questions about business, about the world, about Lily when he finally dares to speak of her. "She loved violets," Jonathan admits one evening. Grace beams. "Me too. Mama planted them before she was gone." Her voice falters, but she steadies. The coincidence unsettles him. Too many parallels. Too many echoes. One night, as Grace settles into bed, she pulls a small, tattered Bible from her bag. Jonathan freezes. "You read scripture?" She nods. "When I'm scared." She flips to John 14 verse 18, finger tracing the verse. She whispers, "I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you." Jonathan's breath hitches. The verse again, the same one Lily clung to. Grace glances up. "Do you know it?" His throat tightens. "Yes, my daughter used to love that verse." Grace smiles faintly. "Then maybe God sent it back." The words pierce him deeper than any sermon. But shadows linger. At night, Jonathan sits in his study, Lily's journal in his lap. He flips through pages filled with doodles of violets, verses, songs. His eyes blur with tears. Grace's laughter floats down the hall, bright as bells. For a moment it soothes him, but then dread coils. "Am I replacing Lily?" He whispers to the fire. "Am I betraying you, my girl?" Silence answers, save for the faint echo of the verse. "I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you." Despite his fear, the bond deepens. One evening, Grace asks, "Why do you look sad when I laugh?" Jonathan forces a smile. "Because it reminds me of someone I miss." Grace tilts her head. "Maybe she's happy you can laugh again." Tears sting his eyes. He pulls her gently into his arms. She stiffens, then relaxes, head resting against his chest. Feels like healing, fragile, frightening, but real. The mansion, once mausoleum, now breathes again. Music, laughter, even violets planted in the garden by Grace's small hands. But Jonathan knows shadows always return. And soon, the outside world will intrude on this fragile sanctuary. Weeks slip by. Jonathan tells himself it's temporary, a kindness extended until he finds Grace proper care. Yet every day, the mansion fills with more of her presence, and every night he feels the walls of grief shifting. One afternoon, Grace explores the library. She runs her fingers along rows of leather-bound volumes until she pauses at a shelf of Lily's old books. She pulls one free, its spine faded, pages filled with penciled notes. When Jonathan enters, she beams. "Look, Mr. Mercer." She wrote in the margins, "Just like me." He stiffens. "What did you say?" Grace flips the book to show doodles. Flowers, stars, the word Grace scrawled in the corner of a page. Jonathan's knees weaken. Lily had filled journals with the word, claiming it was the most beautiful word God ever gave. Now here it is again, clutched in the hands of a girl who bears her eyes. He whispers, "How did you choose your name?" Grace shrugs. "It's what Mama called me. She said God gave it to her in a dream." Jonathan grips the table for support. Coincidence, he tells himself. Yet his heart pounds with awe. Another evening, Grace lingers in the music room. She plinks at the piano until a melody forms. Halting, clumsy, but familiar. Jonathan freezes in the doorway. "Where did you learn that?" Grace looks up. "I don't know. It just came. It is Lily's song. A tune she composed at 12, never published, never recorded, known only to Jonathan." His eyes blur. He steps forward, hands trembling as he joins her on the bench. Their fingers press the keys together, the broken melody weaving whole again. When the last note fades, Grace whispers, "Did I do it wrong?" Jonathan shakes his head, tears falling. "No, my dear. You did it perfectly." The miracles continue. One stormy night, thunder shakes the windows. Grace grows restless, hugging her knees. Jonathan sits beside her, trying to soothe her fears. She whispers, "When Mama was scared, she told me, 'I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you.'" Jonathan gasps. The verse again. The same one Lily clung to. The same one that has haunted him since he met Grace. He cannot hold back tears. He pulls her close, whispering the words with her. Together, they recite the promise into the roar of the storm. And for the first time since Lily's death, Jonathan believes it might be true. The next morning, the storm has passed. The garden glistens with dew. Grace skips outside, calling Jonathan to follow. "Look! In the flower bed, among the violets Lily once planted, new shoots have broken through the soil. Bright green, tender, alive." Jonathan kneels, touching the leaves. He hadn't tended the garden in years. The flowers were all but dead. Yet here they bloom again, as if resurrected. Grace grins. "See? She's still here." Jonathan's voice shakes. "Who?" "You're Lily," Grace says simply. "And God, they didn't leave you." He covers his face with his hands, weeping into the morning light. Even the staff begin to whisper. Strange things happen when that girl's around. One maid mutters, "The violets bloom." The old piano plays again. The master smiles. The butler replies, "Perhaps she's what this house needed." Jonathan overhears, heart pounding. He wonders, was Grace sent here, not by chance, but by providence? That night, as Grace drifts to sleep, Jonathan sits by her bed. He whispers, "Why do you remind me so much of her?" Grace's eyes flutter. "Maybe because God wanted you to remember." Her words echo in the silence. Jonathan returns to his study, Lily's journal open on the desk. He flips to a page he has never noticed before. Written in her looping script are words that freeze him. "One day you'll see my eyes again. Don't be afraid. It will be Grace." His breath catches. He stares at the page, trembling. It is impossible. Yet here it is, written by Lily herself years before her death. And sleeping down the hall is a girl named Grace with Lily's eyes. The miracle is undeniable now. Jonathan falls to his knees, clutching the journal. He whispers through sobs, "Thank you, God. Thank you for not leaving me an orphan." The whispers begin in the boardroom. Jonathan's directors exchange wary glances as quarterly reports are presented. The numbers are strong, but their confidence wavers. One finally clears his throat. "Mr. Mercer, there are rumors." Jonathan lifts his gaze. "Rumors." The man shifts uncomfortably. "About a child. A homeless girl you've taken into your home." Staff talk. "The press will soon follow." Investors are uneasy. Another director adds sharply, "They say she looks like your late daughter. That you're—" He hesitates. Confusing grief with reality. Jonathan's chest tightens. "I know what I'm doing." "Do you?" A woman challenges. "Or are you trying to resurrect what's gone?" Silence hangs. Jonathan grips his pen until it nearly snaps. "I am giving a child shelter," he says firmly. "That is all." But their eyes betray disbelief. The headlines come days later. Billionaire Mercer brings street child into mansion. Orphan or obsession? Critics question Mercer's motives. Is he replacing his daughter? Reporters camp outside the gates, shouting questions. Camera flashes cut through the night. Grace presses against the curtains, eyes wide. Why are they here? Jonathan kneels beside her. Because people don't understand yet. Her voice trembles. They think I don't belong. He cups her cheek. You belong more than anyone. But when she turns away, clutching her bag tighter, he feels her fear. At a charity gala, whispers chase him through the marble halls. Donors murmur behind champagne glasses. One confronts him bluntly. Jonathan, people are worried. Bringing that girl into your home, it looks unstable. Dangerous, even. You've lost your wife, your daughter. We sympathize. But this? It's not healthy. Jonathan's jaw clenches. You call compassion unhealthy? I call denial dangerous, the man replies. Jonathan turns sharply, leaving the gala in silence. Back at the mansion, Grace waits on the staircase, small and fragile. They don't like me, do they? Jonathan shakes his head fiercely. No, they don't understand. Her eyes shimmer. Maybe I should leave, before I ruin everything. The words strike him harder than any headline. He kneels, gripping her hands. No, you are not the ruin. You are the reason I breathe again. Grace blinks, startled by the force of his words. But doubt lingers in her eyes. The next day, the board confronts him formally. The chairman's voice is sharp. You are jeopardizing this company. Investors are threatening to pull out. Unless you end this arrangement, we will move to remove you. Jonathan's hands tremble. He thinks of Grace's laughter, her drawings on the fridge, the way she recited Lily's verse. He also thinks of the empire he built from nothing, the thousands who depend on it. I will not abandon her, he says quietly. The chairman slams a fist on the table. Then you abandon us. At home, Jonathan's strength falters. He sits in the dark study, Lily's journal open on the desk. His reflection in the glass looks broken, haunted. Grace slips inside, barefoot, holding her small Bible. She sets it gently on his lap. When I feel like I don't belong, I read this. He looks down. The page is open to John 14 verse 18. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. Jonathan's eyes burn. Grace whispers, You're not an orphan either. Tears spill down his cheeks. He pulls her into his arms, clinging as if to life itself. But outside, the storm grows louder. Reporters hurl accusations. Investors circle like sharks. Friends vanish. Even the staff mutter doubts. And Grace, though she tries to be brave, begins to withdraw. Speaking less, eating little, hiding in corners of the mansion. Jonathan fears the worst. That in saving her, he may lose her. And in saving her, he may lose himself. The mansion grows quieter by the day. Where laughter once rang through its halls, silence now presses like a weight. Grace no longer fills the fridge with drawings. She lingers in corners, shrinking whenever the cameras flash beyond the gates. Jonathan notices. He notices everything. The way her shoulders hunch, the way her smile fades, the way her eyes dart as if expecting to be cast out. One night he finds her on the back steps, knees drawn to her chest, staring at the garden. The violets sway in the moonlight. You should be asleep, he says gently. Grace doesn't turn. I think I should go. Jonathan's chest tightens. Go? Where? Back to the streets. To the shelter. Anywhere but here. Everyone hates me being here. I don't want to ruin your life. Her voice is small, breaking. Jonathan sinks beside her, struggling for words. Grace, you haven't ruined anything. You've saved me. She shakes her head. I can't be her. The words pierce like glass. Who? He whispers, though he knows. You're Lily. Her eyes glisten. I see how you look at me, like I'm her ghost. I'm not. I never will be. Jonathan's breath shudders. He wants to deny it, but tears betray him. That night he cannot sleep. He sits in his study, Lily's journal open, firelight dancing across its pages. His mind churns. Am I trying to replace her? Am I clinging to a shadow? His empire is crumbling, his reputation shredded. And now, the girl who revived his soul is slipping away. He grips the journal, whispering, God, am I failing both of them? No answer comes, only the echo of the verse scrawled across Lily's pages. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. Jonathan closes his eyes, weeping. Then come, please. Meanwhile, Grace tiptoes down the hall. She has packed her small bag. She pauses at Jonathan's door, watching him through the crack. His shoulders hunched, his face buried in his hands. Her heart twists. She whispers to herself, if I stay, he'll break. If I go, he'll heal. She turns toward the door, but fate intervenes. A sudden crack of thunder shakes the house. Rain pelts the windows. Grace freezes, trembling. Storms have always terrified her. She sinks to the floor, clutching her bag. Jonathan hears her sobs and rushes out. He finds her huddled in the hallway, shaking. Without thinking, he kneels and wraps his arms around her. She stiffens, then collapses into his chest, clutching his shirt. Don't go, he whispers fiercely. Don't you ever go. I'm not her, Grace cries. I know, Jonathan says, voice breaking. You are you, and that is enough. More than enough. He pulls back just enough to meet her eyes. Grace, I don't want Lily back. I want you, because you're here, because you're real. Her sobs soften. She studies his face, searching for truth. At last, she whispers, then don't leave me either. His grip tightens. Never. The storm rages outside, but in the hallway a fragile peace blooms. Later, as they sit by the fire, Grace opens her Bible again. She points to John 14 verse 18. Read it with me, she says. Jonathan's voice trembles, but together they whisper, I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. And for the first time, Jonathan doesn't hear it as Lily's verse. He hears it as Grace's. Promise, alive and present. By dawn, the storm has passed. The crisis has not ended, the world still rages outside. But something within them has shifted. They have chosen each other. And that choice will change everything. The world outside the mansion continues its relentless noise. Reporters at the gate, investors threatening, critics scoffing. But inside, something quiet has taken root. Jonathan and Grace no longer tiptoe around the shadows of Lily. They laugh more freely, share meals without tension, play clumsy duets on the piano. Yet beneath the warmth lingers an unspoken question. Why her? Why now? The answer begins one late afternoon. Jonathan sits with Lily's journal in the garden, violets blooming around him. Grace skips nearby, humming. Suddenly she stops. Mr. Mercer, can I show you something? She pulls a folded scrap of paper from her Bible. It's worn, edges frayed. She hands it to him. Jonathan unfolds it. His breath catches. It's a drawing, crude but recognizable, of a grand house with columns and a garden of violets. Two figures stand hand in hand at the door. Above them, in a child's scrawl, me and my family. Jonathan's throat tightens. Where did you draw this? Grace shrugs. At the shelter. Before I met you, I dreamed of this place. I didn't know it was real. His heart pounds. He looks around, the same columns, the same violets. It is his house. Tears well. He whispers, You dreamed of this before you ever came here? Grace nods. Mama said God shows us where we belong before we get there. Jonathan presses the drawing to his chest. A truth dawns. Grace was not an accident at his gates. She was led. That night, as they sit at the piano, Grace pauses mid-note. Can I tell you a secret? Jonathan smiles gently. Of course. I talk to Lily sometimes, she admits softly. When I'm scared. I don't know her, but I feel like she listens. Jonathan's breath catches. What do you say? Grace shrugs. Just that I'll take care of you, because she can't right now. Jonathan's vision blurs. He grips the piano edge, sobbing silently. Grace touches his hand. She told me once, not with words, but in my heart, that you were still her daddy, and that I should remind you. Jonathan collapses into tears, pulling her into his arms. Grace, you're not her replacement. You're her gift, the proof that love doesn't die. Grace buries her face in his chest. Then you're my gift too. The deeper truth floods him. Lily is gone, but her love is not. It lives in Grace, not because she looks like Lily, but because she was sent to awaken what grief had buried. He whispers into Grace's hair, I thought God abandoned me, but he brought you. And the verse resounds once more, alive in both of them. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. The next morning, Jonathan calls a press conference. Reporters crowd the steps, cameras flashing. He steps forward with Grace beside him, her small hand in his. He clears his throat. This is Grace. She is not my daughter reborn. She is not a replacement. She is herself strong, brave, chosen. And from this day forward, she is my family. Gasps ripple. A reporter shouts, Are you adopting her? Jonathan smiles through tears. Yes, today I begin the process. She is my child. Grace beams, clutching his hand tighter. The crowd buzzes. Headlines explode. But Jonathan feels none of it. For the first time in years, peace floods him. That night, they sit in the garden under stars. Grace whispers, Do you think Lily's happy? Jonathan looks at the violets swaying gently. Yes, she's smiling, because love didn't end with her. It grew. Grace leans against him. Then we're both not orphans anymore. Jonathan kisses her hair. No, my dear, we're not. And with that, the deeper truth is sealed. Family is not only blood, but love chosen, love given, love that endures. The day of the adoption hearing dawns bright. Jonathan wakes early, nerves thrumming, heart pounding. The mansion that once echoed with emptiness hums with a new energy. Grace's laughter floating from the kitchen, the clatter of dishes as she insists on helping the cook, her drawings taped proudly to the fridge. He stands in the doorway, watching her braid ribbons into her hair. His chest swells with something he thought he had buried forever, joy. The courthouse is crowded with reporters, but Jonathan shields Grace with his arm as they walk. She clutches her small Bible in one hand, his hand in the other. Inside the chamber, the judge looks over the paperwork. She peers at Jonathan with curiosity. Mr. Mercer, you are aware of the scrutiny this case has drawn? Jonathan nods firmly. Yes, Your Honor. You're prepared for the responsibility? He glances at Grace, who meets his eyes with quiet strength. I am more than prepared. I am called. Grace beams. The judge studies them, then signs the order. Then it is done. Grace Mercer, you are now his daughter. Tears spill down Jonathan's cheeks. He pulls Grace into his arms, voice breaking. Welcome home, my child. Grace clings to him, whispering, I told you we're not orphans anymore. The news explodes across headlines. Some praise him as compassionate. Others mock him as sentimental. But Jonathan no longer cares. His measure of success is no longer towers and profits. It is the girl who now calls him father. Life in the mansion transforms. The piano room fills with duets and laughter. The garden bursts with violets Grace tends daily, whispering to them as though to Lily herself. Jonathan joins her, planting beside her, his hands finally finding purpose in the soil. At night, they read scripture together. Grace always turns to John 14 verse 18. She insists on reading it aloud, her small voice firm. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. Jonathan closes his eyes each time, whispering, and he did, but the reunion goes beyond them. Jonathan launches a new foundation in Lily's name, but with Grace at its heart. Its mission, to care for orphans, to provide shelter, education, family. He pours his fortune into homes across the city, transforming abandoned buildings into sanctuaries. At the first ribbon cutting, Grace holds the scissors with him. Reporters snap photos as Jonathan declares, This is not charity. This is family extended. Every child deserves to hear those words. You are not an orphan. You belong. The crowd erupts in applause. Grace beams, her eyes shining brighter than any flashbulb. In the mansion's great hall, once shrouded in silence, portraits now hang. Lily's smiling face, and beside it, Grace's. Not as replacement, but as continuation. Jonathan tells visitors, "One taught me love's depth, the other taught me love's endurance." Grace, overhearing, giggles. "And I taught you how to laugh again." He sweeps her into his arms, laughing. "That you did." The staff, once wary, now embrace her. The cook dotes with pastries. The butler teaches her chess. The maids braid her hair. The house, once mausoleum, is alive with family. Jonathan feels it each morning when Grace calls, "Daddy, come see the violets." The word daddy pierces him with healing every time. One evening, Grace curls beside him by the fire. "Do you think Lily's proud?" Jonathan strokes her hair. "Yes, she's smiling right now." Grace yawns. "Then maybe she sent me to make sure you're okay." Jonathan's eyes mist. He whispers, "She did more than that. She sent me you." Grace drifts to sleep against his chest. Jonathan gazes into the flames, heart full. For the first time in years, he is not haunted. He is whole. Years unfurl like pages turning. The mansion that once echoed with emptiness now hums with a rhythm of life. Laughter in the halls, piano melodies drifting through windows, violets blooming year after year in the garden. Grace Mercer grows. The shy, wary orphan becomes a young woman with steady eyes and a heart alight with compassion. At 18, she stands on a stage in front of hundreds, speaking on behalf of the Lilly Foundation. Her voice carries with clarity. "When I was a child, I thought I was invisible. I thought I was an orphan. But someone saw me. He told me I belonged. And because of that, I stand here today." Every child deserves that chance. To be seen, to be loved, to belong. The audience rises in thunderous applause. Jonathan, older now, silver streaking his hair, wipes tears from his eyes. The foundation flourishes. Abandoned schools are reborn as learning centers. Shelters spring up across the city, walls painted with violets and doves. At the entrance of every building, carved in stone, are the words, "I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you." Children run in the courtyards, laughter ringing. Volunteers bow their heads in prayer. Grace walks among them, smiling, greeting each by name. She is not merely Jonathan's heir. She is the embodiment of his deepest healing. One evening, Jonathan sits with her in the garden. The air is sweet with violets. "Do you remember the first night?" he asks softly. Grace nods. "You looked at me like you'd seen a ghost." Jonathan chuckles, though his eyes mist. "I thought I had, but what I saw was a promise kept." Grace tilts her head. "A promise?" He recites the verse, voice trembling. "I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you." Grace leans her head on his shoulder. "And he did, through us." Jonathan closes his eyes, peace settling over him like a blanket. Time passes. Jonathan grows frilier. The day comes when he lies in his bed, the journal of Lily resting on the nightstand, Grace at his side. He takes her hand, whispering, "I thought my story ended with loss, but you were the chapter one never expected. My daughter, by choice and by grace." Grace sobs softly, gripping his hand. "You're not leaving me, are you?" Jonathan smiles faintly. "No, love doesn't leave. It only changes form." He whispers the verse one last time. "I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you." And with a peaceful sigh, he slips away. Grace weeps, but not as an orphan. She weeps as a daughter, held by love that endures beyond life itself. The funeral is not somber but radiant. Children from the foundation sing hymns. Volunteers place violets on his grave. Grace speaks with steady voice. "He taught me that grief doesn't erase love, and love doesn't end with death. His legacy is not towers or wealth. It is family, chosen and eternal." The crowd weeps. Years later, Grace carries forward the mantle. The Lily and Grace Foundation spans cities, nations, its mission unchanged. No child left unseen, no orphan forgotten. In her office hangs two portraits. Lily, radiant at the piano, and Jonathan, smiling with pride. Below them, carved in wood, family is not blood alone. It is love chosen, love given, love received. Grace whispers to herself, "Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Daddy." And in her heart, she hears their voices echo the verse once more. "I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you." And so, what began on a rain-slicked street corner with a billionaire's grief and a frightened orphan's hunger ended with something far greater than either could imagine. A family born not of blood, but of grace. Jonathan Mercer lost a daughter, but he gained a legacy that carried her love forward. Grace lost everything she once knew, but she gained a father who chose her, named her, and made her his own. Through their story, one truth shone again and again. Not in headlines, not in boardrooms, but in quiet moments. At the piano, in the violets, in a whispered verse. "I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you." That promise was not only Lily's favorite scripture. It became their lifeline, carried them through storms, through doubt, through loss. And in the end, it carried them into family. This is the deeper truth. Love does not erase grief. Love does not replace those we've lost. Love transforms loss into legacy. So if you carry absence in your heart, if you walk through halls that echo with silence, remember this story. Remember Grace, who showed a man that love still lives. Remember Jonathan, who dared to choose family again. And remember that you are not forgotten. Because love, divine, unyielding love, will always come for you.